What if you could bet on a sports game and guarantee yourself a profit, regardless of which team wins the game? This strategy or concept is known as sports betting arbitrage. I know it may sound too good to be true, but stick with me for a second. Let me explain. For simplicity, I will be using decimal odds, but it works the same way with American odds. And just to get some definitions out of the way, a bookmaker is just a website where you place your bets. So let's assume we have a tennis match with two bookmakers displaying the odds for the same game. Bookmaker A gives Ben Shelton 2.1 and Novak 1.9. Bookmaker B gives Ben Shelton 195 and Novak 2.2. The first thing we have to do to see if we have an arbitrage is to calculate the implied probability. In order to do so, we have to obtain the two best odds, meaning the highest odds for each outcome. In this case, the highest odd for Ben Shelton is 2.1 from bookmaker A, and the highest odd for Novak is 2.2 from bookmaker B. And as long as the sum is less than 1, we have an arbitrage opportunity. Now for the step 2, we have to assume that we are working with a capital to bet. In this case, let's assume we're working with $100. To guarantee a profit, we have to split the bets proportionally based on the odds. And the formula is pretty straightforward. As you can see, we can allocate $48.81 to Ben Shelton at bookmaker A and $51.19 to Novak Djokovic at bookmaker B. And lastly, we have to calculate the payouts for each outcome. If Ben Shelton wins, we would get $102.50 back. If Novak wins, we will get $112.62. And lastly, the most important step is calculating the profit. In order to do so, we have to subtract the total wager, in our case 100, from each of the potential payouts. If Shelton wins, the profit would be $2.50. If Djokovic wins, the profit would be $12.62. So, regardless of the outcome, the return is positive. And there are many different ways in which you can accomplish this type of arbitrage. You can manually sort through different websites, compare the odds, and then place your bets accordingly, or... Okay, I wanted to do something different this time, because doing the animations and all the sarcastic Easter eggs usually take quite a bit of time. So I thought, why not do a story time instead? Okay, so here we go with chapter 1. A few years ago, I was playing with some algorithms and also writing a few of my own to see if they were applicable in the world of sports betting. I am not a gambler, but I do like numbers, I do like analytics, and I do like writing software, so I thought, why not? Long story short, a couple of my friends and I decided to put this application out in the world just to see if it would gain any traction. And even though we had a few paying subscribers, we just didn't have enough time to invest into adding new features, into scaling the business, and so on. So we decided to shut down the business a few months ago. Chapter 2, and here's where it gets a little bit interesting, at least for me. I spent so much time writing not only the algorithm itself, but also developing the back end and the front end. And keep in mind that this was a few years ago, before ChatGPT existed, before we had GitHub Copilot and all the cool AI tools we have nowadays that make the development process smoother and way more efficient. So I didn't want all this code to go to waste and decided to revamp this whole idea. Anyway, I finally finished at least the revamping to a stage where I think the application is usable again. And by doing so, I had to rewrite all the back end and make sure that at least now it has scope for scalability and so on. As far as the application stack, I didn't change the original stack I had. The application, I wrote the back end using Django REST framework, or for the REST APIs, and the front end using React, actually Next.js. And with all that said, I'm sure you're probably thinking that I'm gonna try to sell you this application with a subscription or something like that. And the reality is that I'm not. I'm actually releasing this web application for free. And you might be wondering what the catch is. And the truth is that I don't have a catch. I haven't thought that far out yet. And of course, like having an application and running the infrastructure is not free, right? So I have to find a way to monetize this at some point. Right now, the idea is to see if people are using it, if people find it useful. And at some point, as I said, I have to find a way to monetize to keep the servers running. And I will likely be adding ads or something like that into the website. And if I decide to go this route, I will make sure that the ads are placed in the least obnoxious way possible, because I absolutely hate websites that trick you into clicking on their ads. So that's probably one alternative or one of the possibilities. And the other possibility would be maybe seeing if people are using it and they would like to voluntarily support the project if they find it useful. Again, it's going to be 100% optional. So what about the future of the project and the roadmap ahead? I think I have a few feature ideas that may involve AI and some advanced analytics, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. Now, I will have to add some features in the next release. Number one would be to allow users to report a bug, and the other one would be a feature to request new features, right? Like add a queue for feature requests. And then I have to find a way to prioritize that, because the project manager, the front-end developer, the back-end developer, and the data analyst, and the person in charge of all the infrastructure is speaking to you right now. So I'm just one person. So I have to find a way to manage all that. Anyway, so lastly, I will have to work on recording a demo video, just briefly explaining all the features that you will see in the settings page, and explaining what each of those parameters do when you change them. So I will be recording that within the next few days, and probably adding that to the video description or pin it to the top of the comment section. So if you have any ideas, or if you gave the application a shot and you liked it, just make sure to drop a comment below, just so it helps the YouTube algorithm, I guess. And that's all for now. Thank you.